iron gates groan open. Chains drag across stone. A line of Roman soldiers moves along the long road west, their prisoner walking quietly between them. He is an old man now, thin, weathered. Years of travel and preaching have carved deep lines into his face, but his eyes remain steady. He knows exactly where this road ends. Rome, the arena, the beasts, the crowd. The soldiers expect fear. Instead, the old man speaks, quietly, calmly, encouraging the small groups of Christians who come out to meet him along the road, strengthening them, even as he walks toward execution. His name is Ignatius, and the journey he is on will echo through Christian history for centuries. At the beginning of the 2nd century, the Roman Empire stands at the height of its power. Its roads stretch across continents. Its armies enforce order from Britain to Syria. And its emperors expect loyalty not only in law, but in worship. Rome tolerates many religions, temples to Jupiter, shrines to Isis, local gods and ancient traditions. But there is one rule that binds them all. Every people must acknowledge the authority of Rome and the divine honor of the emperor. Most comply. Christians do not. They refuse to offer incense to Caesar. They refuse to bow before Roman gods. They insist there is only one Lord. To Roman officials, this stubborn refusal is more than religious disagreement. It looks like rebellion. And when public tension rises, Christians often become the easiest targets. Rumors spread. They are accused of secret rituals, of strange gatherings, of disloyalty to the empire. Sometimes local authorities decide to make an example. One such example will begin in the great eastern city of Antioch. Antioch is one of the largest cities in the Roman world. Its streets overflow with traders, sailors, philosophers, and soldiers. Caravans arrive from Persia. Ships unload goods from Egypt and Greece. It is loud, crowded, restless. And it is also one of the earliest centers of Christianity. According to early tradition, this is the place where the followers of Jesus were first called Christians. For years, the church in Antioch has been led by a bishop named Ignatius. Little is known about his youth, but by the early 2nd century, he has already spent decades guiding the growing Christian community. He has watched believers endure persecution. He has buried friends who were executed for their faith. Now, the attention of Roman authority turns toward him. Around the year 107 AD, during the reign of Emperor Trajan, Ignatius is arrested. The exact accusation has been lost to history. Perhaps he refused to participate in an imperial ritual. Perhaps someone reported the Christian gatherings under his leadership. Whatever the reason, the authorities decide his death should serve a purpose. Ignatius will not be executed quietly in Antioch. Instead, he will be transported to Rome. There, before the crowds of the arena, he will be fed to wild beasts. A spectacle, a warning. The chains are fastened. A group of soldiers is assigned to escort him, and the long journey begins. The road from Antioch to Rome is long, more than 1,500 miles across the Roman world. It will take months. Part of the journey will be by land, part by sea. Ignatius travels under guard, chained to a group of soldiers he later describes as harsh and impatient. He once wrote that they behaved like leopards, growing more difficult the more kindness they received. The journey begins in Syria. Dusty Roman roads stretching across dry hills, stone markers counting the miles. Ignatius walks much of the way, sometimes under the burning sun, sometimes through cold nights in unfamiliar towns. Roman prisoners were rarely given comfort. Food was simple: bread, water, perhaps scraps of meat when soldiers allowed it. Sleep came wherever the escort stopped: roadside inns, military stations, or temporary camps. Yet along this difficult road, something unexpected happens. News spreads. Christians hear that the Bishop of Antioch is being taken to Rome, and they come to meet him. In the cities of Ephesus, Magnesia, and Traios, believers gather quietly when the escort arrives. Some risk punishment just to see him. They walk beside the soldiers for a few moments. They listen. They ask for encouragement. Ignatius gives it freely, despite the chains, despite the destination waiting ahead. At one stop, Smyrna, he is able to stay for a short time, long enough to meet with the local bishop, a man named Polycarp, another leader who would one day face martyrdom himself. It is during this long journey, somewhere along the roads of Asia Minor, that Ignatius begins writing letters that will outlive him. He writes to the churches in Ephesus, Magnesia, Traios, Philadelphia, Smyrna, and to Polycarp himself. The letters are short, direct, personal. Ignatius urges unity. He warns about divisions that could fracture the fragile Christian communities. Over and over again, he calls them to remain faithful, even when fear presses in. At times, his words echo the scriptures these early believers already treasured: the teachings of the apostles, the letters of Paul, the words of Jesus. One passage they would have known well comes from the Gospel of Matthew. Do not fear those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Matthew 10:28. For Ignatius, those words are no longer theory. They are the road beneath his feet, the chains around his wrists, the arena waiting ahead. But one letter stands apart from the rest: the letter to the church in Rome. Ignatius knows the Christians there may try to save him. They have influence, connections. Perhaps someone could intervene, delay the execution, arrange a pardon. Ignatius does not want that. So he pleads with them: do not interfere. Do not try to rescue me. Let this happen. In the letter, he writes something remarkable. Allow me to become food for the beasts, through whom I may reach God. He believes his death will become a testimony, a witness, and he asks the Roman Christians for only one thing: do not stop it. Eventually, the journey ends. The escort enters Rome, the largest city in the ancient world. Nearly 1 million people crowd its streets. Temples tower over the skyline. Markets roar with noise. And towering above many districts stand the arenas, massive stone structures designed for spectacle. On the day of the games, the crowds begin arriving early. Thousands fill the seats. The air hums with anticipation. Executions are often part of the entertainment. Condemned criminals, captured enemies, sometimes Christians. Ignatius is brought beneath the arena floor, into the dark holding chambers below the sand. From above, the roar of the crowd echoes through the stone corridors. The smell of animals fills the air, heavy, musky, dangerous. Nearby, cages rattle. Rome used many kinds of animals in the arena: lions from North Africa, leopards, bears captured in the forests of Europe, sometimes even wild bulls or packs of hunting dogs. Ancient records describing Ignatius's death simply say he was killed by wild beasts. The exact animal is never recorded. Many historians believe lions were the most likely. They were commonly used in executions, and their appearance carried dramatic impact for the crowd. But the truth is, we cannot know for certain. What we do know is that the moment was meant to be brutal, public, final. Ignatius waits in the dim corridor beneath the arena. Above him, tens of thousands of voices rumble like distant thunder. Then the signal comes. Chains are removed. The gate leading to the arena floor creaks open. Blinding sunlight pours into the corridor. Ignatius steps forward, small against the massive walls of the amphitheater. The executioners retreat. Across the arena, another gate begins to rise. The crowd grows louder. From the darkness behind the gate, something moves. A shape. Large. Heavy. For a moment, the arena hangs in tense silence. Then the beast steps into the light, muscle shifting beneath thick fur. Massive shoulders. Eyes fixed on the lone figure in the sand. If it was a lion, its mane would have framed its head like a dark crown. If a bear, its towering bulk would have filled the gate behind it. The exact creature is lost to history, but its purpose is unmistakable. The beast pauses, then instinct takes over. The charge is sudden, explosive. The crowd erupts, and within seconds, the violence is over. Later Christian writers would say that almost nothing remained of Ignatius's body. Only a few bones, fragments quietly gathered by believers after the games. The arena moves on. Another spectacle, another victim. But outside those stone walls, something very different begins to happen. News spreads slowly across the empire. But eventually, the church is here. Ignatius is dead, the bishop who walked willingly toward the arena. Yet his voice does not disappear with him. The letters written along the road begin circulating among the churches, carefully copied, passed from community to community, read aloud in quiet gatherings. They become some of the earliest Christian writings outside the New Testament. In them, believers hear the voice of a man who knew death was waiting at the end of the road and chose faithfulness anyway. The Roman authorities intended his execution to silence him. Instead, his story traveled farther than the soldiers who escorted him. Across cities, across centuries, long after the arenas fell silent, long after the empire that condemned him began to fade. The stones of Rome would crack, the crowds would disappear, but the memory of an old bishop walking calmly toward the beasts would endure. A quiet reminder from the earliest days of Christianity that sometimes the most powerful voice in history belongs to the one who refuses to be afraid. But the story of Ignatius does not truly end in the arena. The empire that condemned him is long gone. The crowds have disappeared. The stones of those arenas now sit silent beneath the weight of centuries. But the faith Ignatius refused to deny is still here. His courage raises a quiet question for every generation. What would we do if we stood in that arena? Would we hold fast to the truth? Would we follow Christ, no matter the cost? The words of Jesus still echo across the centuries. Be faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of life. Revelation 2:10. May we have the courage to live with the same faith. If you want to see the stories of the Bible brought to life with the same cinematic detail you see on this channel, check out our Illustrated Bible. We've paired epic visuals with concise summaries of every book, making the history of the Word accessible for this generation. It's the ultimate companion for your study, available now on Amazon from the Vine Dresser Press. Click the link in the description to bring these stories home. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.